TotalControl is a software designed for Windows, built to work with Sony Alpha series cameras, based on Sony official SDK. It lets you plan and execute the perfect eclipse photography sequence in both space and time. You get a full simulation of the sky as it will appear from your exact viewpoint, at your chosen location during totality, combined with timeline, where you can compose every single shot in advance, in one of three modes: single frame, burst, and bracketing sequence. The workflow starts simple. Paste the Google Maps URL of the location where you plan to observe the eclipse. From those coordinates, TotalControl automatically calculates the local contact times, the exact moment each phase of the eclipse begins and ends at your site. Next, connect your camera or cameras. The software supports up to 4 cameras simultaneously, each independently controlled. Once your hardware is connected, you build your shooting plan based on your gear and your creative intent. The only real limit is your camera's own capabilities. For convenience, you can load automatically generated voice track commands, spoken cues that walk you through what to do during totality. If you've already experienced a total eclipse, you know how disorienting and fast those 2 or 3 minutes can feel. If this is your first one, this audio guide keeps you focused on what matters, while the software itself handles the camera. Get to experience the total eclipse instead of tinkering with the hardware. Composing the shoot sequence. Above the audio track sits the second timeline, the one that actually drives the camera. If you have multiple cameras, there will be multiple tracks, one for each camera. You can place the blocks from the menu on the right side. Each block represents either a single photo, series of photos, or bracketing sequence with different parameters. Once placed, the camera fires exactly on the timing you've set on the timeline. You can fully adjust shutter speed, ISO, and aperture for each block according to your needs and your hardware limits. The software can also auto-generate common sequences for you. For example, a time-lapse with a frame every minute for the entire partial phase, or a full bracketing sequence for totality itself. This bracketed sequence is really the bare-bones starting structure, your baseline. From there you can customize delayed blocks you don't need, insert new ones, and shape it around your own shot list. Earthshine shot is worth a special attention. It's a long exposure, roughly 10 to 15 seconds, sometimes longer depending on your hardware, capture the faint Earth-lit moon during totality. This shot should be taken at the maximum, the exact midpoint of totality, because at this moment the corona is fully symmetric, and the software allows you to perfectly calibrate this picture in time. After Earthshine shot, the bracketing sequence continues, and this is where you want to fire as many frames as your hardware allows, because this is your window to capture Bailey beads and the diamond ring effect perfectly exposed at third contact. Sky View Simulator. The second major function of TotalControl is Sky View Simulator. It places a virtual viewpoint matching your camera and hardware, including focal length, so you can preview exactly what your composition will look like before you are standing at the eclipse site. You can add multiple cameras, each with a different focal length and pointing angle, and a tracking target. For example, you can add a long focal length camera to track the sun, including the rotation angle of the sun's equator. You can add a second camera with a shorter focal length, or a fisheye lens to frame wider view of totality, including horizon, umbra approach, landscape, mountains, whatever you want. This lets you design and rehearse your composition entirely in advance, well before eclipse day. But the simulator isn't limited to a virtual preview. Once you are already connected to your camera, you'll get a live feed starting from each camera, overlaid directly into the same simulated sky. That's the key link. The simulation stops being just a planning tool and becomes a real-time reference against your actual physical setup at your actual observation site. This means you can stand at your location days or minutes before the eclipse, look at the live feed next to the simulated position of the sun, and immediately see whether your framing, leveling, or tracking matches what you planned. If your tripod is slightly off or your fisheye isn't capturing the horizon the way you expected, you will see it directly on the screen and can correct it right there instead of discovering it too late during the totality itself. The important thing for eclipse photography is the shape and orientation of corona. Because solar wind propagation takes time, the corona's current shape reflects activity from the preceding 24 hours, up to a few hundred hours back in some cases. This simulator lets you rotate your virtual camera to match the corona's actual current observed orientation, so your framing during totality matches reality rather than geometric assumption. Total Control handles the two things that makes or break eclipse photography: timing and composition. You paste a location and it tells you exactly when every phase begins. You build a timeline once, calmly at home, weeks before the eclipse, not with the shaking hands and 30 seconds left before totality. The Sky View Simulator lets you rehearse your framing against the sun, actual current corona shape, so you're not guessing what the sky will look like. And when the moment finally comes, the software and the voice track does the work, while you get to actually watch the eclipse with your own eye. That's the whole point of the project: less time fighting with your hardware, more time under shadow. Total Control is open source, and it will be released under JPL 3 license, completely free, supported entirely through voluntary donations on Patreon. There is no license to buy, no paywall. If the project is useful to you and you want to support it, it's the only way, and it's optional. On the hardware side, the Total Control is built on Sony's Camera Remote SDK, so in theory every Sony Alpha camera supported by that SDK should work with the software. That said, in theory, it's exactly why I need your help, and this is the important part. I need the community involvement in testing, and I need it soon. We are heading straight into August 12, 2026, and there is not much time left before the date. Every camera body behaves slightly different, and the only way to catch compatibility issues, edge cases, and rough edges is to have real people with real alpha bodies actually running this software before Eclipse Day, not after. So, if you own a Sony Alpha camera and you are even remotely considering using Total Control for Spain or for any further eclipse, please get involved now. Try it, break it, tell me what doesn't work. That's the feedback, right now, in the few next weeks. One hard deadline to keep in mind: feedback needs to come by August 1st. From that day on, I will be fully absorbed in my own final eclipse preparations, and I won't be implementing any more fixes or changes before Spain. So if you find something, don't sit on it. The earlier you report it, the more likely it actually gets fixed in time. Links to GitHub repository, setup instruction, and the Patreon page will be in the description below. Clear skies, and see you in Spain.